Kollege hat auch einen Lenkassistenten eingeschaltet. Er lenkt also gerade das Fahrzeug hin, zu sagen, dass es doch gleich knallt. Ja, und so erkennt das Fahrzeug, hat gewarnt, hey, da ist ein Fußgänger, den fährst du gleich rein. Wenn so ein System anfängt zu piepen, dann schaut er nach vorne.
Die Lichtauswertung anschauen. Es gibt auch andere Templates, die die Spur und Co. anschauen. Ich denke gerade einige Diskussionen so ein bisschen in die gesagt haben, okay, das ist jetzt hier am Fußgängerwarnschild vorbei. Wir haben auch die Möglichkeit, das nochmal sehr...
Gut. Passt.
Können wir das mal ablaufen lassen? Genau. Da stehen wir. Aber genau, da habe ich den Truck und den Fußgänger. Ne? Ja, super. Und hat er, weiß der...
Also das ist die Fahrspur, wo das Auto fahren wird. Und ja, also dann hat er nicht unbedingt die Linien erkannt, aber mittlerweile ist die Linienerkennung so gut.
I'm in press communications at Mercedes-Benz, specifically for self-driving cars, autonomous driving. I'm 37 years old with Daimler, not too long, just joined 3 years ago. Before that I was in communications as well, technical communications, and what I'm really interested in is obviously technology. That's what fascinates me. How do things actually work? My mom complained when I was a little kid that I took the radios apart and couldn't get them back together. Anyway, right now I tend not to do that. I talk about it, and the most interesting part at the moment is obviously how something works, but what does it change in society? And if it has a big impact on that, that's something that I really go by, and I'm glad that I can do that with self-driving cars, because we can talk about how do they function, how do they work, but most interestingly, what will they do to you and me, and how will they change our lives. Self-driving cars are really fascinating. I think they give you the time of your life, meaning, I mean, not like a Dirty Dancing, obviously, but they give me time to do something else. And yes, I do like driving, obviously, most people do in a way, but not in everyday situations where you're stuck in traffic or have a very monotonous, like the same routine over and over. If I could do other things, sleep, eat, work, watch a movie, that's something I'd really, really like. And the potential of cars that you don't have to drive yourself, they're changing society in a tremendous way, and that's why I think a lot of people have a big opinion on it, and I can't wait for the self-driving cars to actually be here. When I talk to people, most of the time I have the impression that they think self-driving cars are just around the corner, or that you just need to flick a button and they're there. That's not really the case. There's a lot of work that needs to still be put into the cars, a lot of data to be gathered, situations to be analyzed, and people are driving differently in different countries. There's different traffic rules. They might look familiar, but yet there's these little things that you really need to pay close attention to. That's something we really want to work on and show the people what it is that we still need to work on, so that they understand that they are definitely coming, but it's a technology project that needs some development work still, and once it's there, that they ideally appreciate it for what it is, that it's a really well-crafted masterpiece in whatever way. We're working on that, and I'm really excited to go on this journey and communicate this effort that we're actually doing. Well, the intelligent world drive is a kind of a funny idea at first. Like, why would you go to so many different countries, and why don't you just do it in front of your doorstep where you have all the infrastructure? If you've been to another country, most of the time you won't have a problem finding your way around. There's a subway maybe, or you hail a cab, and yeah, you have a different currency in your pocket, but the basic system is the same. And the same as goes for driving. I mean, people drive everywhere. Yet it's the little things like what currency you pay your cab driver, is the subway station, do you pay your ticket before you get on the train or you get it on the train? So those little things that you need to understand, and then you, as a tourist, find your way around. And well, if you think about the car as a student on student exchange, and it is making some learning experiences, gathering some data, looking at how do people drive in China, how do they drive in Australia, in South Africa, in the United States. A lot of things are very different, very similar, but the difference is that's what we're looking for, and that's what we want to concentrate on, to find strange, difficult situations and make sure that our driver assistance systems are up for that task when we get out the next generation. I myself, for example, was a high school exchange student when I was 16, and I've been on some other exchange programs later in my life as well. And I made the experience that I just, obviously there's a lot of people that you can talk to, and you find your way around, you can get your food and everything, that's very easy, yet a lot of things are different, and you learn a lot on those trips. And that's what we want to do with the car. The car is the student, and we want to take it on a student exchange trip to different countries and make a big learning experience. And with that learning experience, coming back home at the end of the day, obviously, and then make good sense of the things we learned on our way, and get that input into the development phase of our new and upcoming driver assistance systems, so we can get the best system out on the market. Ideally on this trip, not everything will go smoothly, and I don't say that I don't want to get into an accident or anything, obviously. We want to stay safe, and we're making sure that we are staying safe. What I mean with not everything going smoothly or exactly right, meaning we're looking for difficult situations where the radar or beeps at us and we get some warning signals, even though they weren't really supposed to give us warning signals. And when we get that, we can look at the data that we gathered, see what did the car sense, was it the correct thing, or maybe we need to tweak and twerk our algorithms of the car a little bit more so that we can safeguard the system even more. Safety is a big priority for Mercedes-Benz, and we put a lot of work into the so-called false positives, meaning when something is wrong, obviously the car should step in and save us, but if something is right, it should not give us an alarm, because if that is happening, I'm annoyed and might turn off the system. And a really good system does not trigger when it's not supposed to. And by trying to find difficult situations, we can get that data in order to really make sure that those false positives are taken care of. The Intelligent World Drive will take us, after we started here in Frankfurt, to Shanghai in China. Our first stop, very exciting city. I've been there once, and it's crazy but beautiful, and China is very different, so it's quite a big challenge as a first step. Afterwards, we're going to Australia, huge country. We can't manage to drive all around, but Melbourne will be our destination there. Beautiful city again. We're not going there because it's beautiful, but they have like some really funny ways to turn right, which on their sense is the more difficult turn. We're going to look at that, at the so-called hook turn. South Africa will be next, Cape Town. We're going to cruise around there. We'll find some difficult spots there, definitely. And last but not least, Las Vegas in the United States. Probably going to stop over in LA too, because there's some crazy traffic jams I hear. They have carpool lanes, all that good stuff, and a self-driving car at the end of the day needs to deal with those situations as well. So we're going to look at that. Most difficult situation on the trip might just be not having a straight road where nothing happens. We want stuff to happen, and like not bad things, but unexpected things. And well, we were expecting the unexpected, but we cannot, trigger it, and we cannot enforce it. And if we would, it would not be a natural driving situations, and that's what we're looking for. So we're going through dense city traffic, and just hope that we'll get into situations that we have not expected before. And since that is really hard to plan, or not to plan at all, I'm really hoping we'll find some really nice situations where we get a big learning curve out of. But I've been to Beijing and I've been to Shanghai. And both cities seem to me very different. but obviously like crazy large cities with a lot of history, but skyscrapers, huge buildings, a lot of people on the streets, on the roads, and yeah, the cab driver I had in Shanghai, I didn't feel that comfortable with. I felt a little more secure in the Transrapid, the train that goes more than 400 kilometers an hour, like really one of the fastest trains that's out there. The cab driver was going left and right and speeding, and I had no idea what's happening. Maybe I had no idea about the traffic rules. Maybe he was just driving in a way I'm not used to. Who knows? But we're going to look at those situations with the car, and I'm really excited to take a look at the data, or actually talk to my colleagues about what they see out of the data, because I'm not really able to read those little data sets that we get out of it. In China, traffic is a lot different. One big thing there is that on a highway, on a multi-lane highway, there's different speed limits according to each lane. And our cars can take the current speed limit, put it into the adaptive cruise control, so the driver doesn't need to change the speed, and it assists you with driving. In order to do that, it needs to know what's the speed limit in the first place. And if you cannot exactly locate the car in each lane, then it's hard to do. So we want to look at the data and maybe find a way to get that positioning so precise that we can get this speed limit assist out in China as well on those specific roads. That's just one example, but we'll probably find a lot more things that are in China that will be interesting for us to see. So this car is a special car. It looks from the outside like a regular S-Class, but we have a lot of other equipment in there. There's a huge computer in there. There's many cameras that just look out on the streets to see what a driver would see as well. And the sensors like the radar, camera, ultrasonic, GPS, all that, they are hooked up to that computer so we can read and see what they see. And they're, well, if there's something going on around it, it will measure that and take that into account. And yeah, we will look at those situations where this data is coming from. And if the more difficult the situation, the more crazy the data and more complicated, but that's what we're looking for, and we want to make sure our system is safe and will assist the driver in a really good way. And we're hoping we can tweak and twerk the system to give even more support to the driver and take our driver assistance systems to the next level.
I'm Matthias Kaiser, and I work at Mercedes-Benz for the development of advanced driver assistance systems. I can tell you a very personal story about autonomous driving and about driving as well. My mother used to say to me, "Hey, Matthias, please drive careful." And driving careful, well, I drive careful, I try to drive careful, but there are also other people. So she always said, "You drive careful, I know that, but be aware of the others." And for me, autonomous driving means safety and protecting us, and which is also important, protecting others. Well, intelligent world drive means for me first curiosity. I'm curious, I want to see what happened with the car and the different challenges. For me, it's a very sophisticating task to have a look in the different countries, what will happen, how do the systems perform in the different countries. And for me as an engineer, well, it's kind of an honor to go on that world trip and see how our S-Class with the modified software will perform. Well, the first thing I ordered was a big luggage, because my old luggage used to be very, very small, so I had to buy a new one because we are on our way for about 5 months, right? Well, the result of that intelligent world drive is to get results about the systems and about how do they perform in the unique countries. I want to learn what people think about the system in the different countries, and I want to adapt our systems even more individually to the specific countries.
Mercedes-Benz has made some major improvements in the world of driver assistance systems and automated driving over the last years. We are covering more and more critical situations that may occur to drivers anywhere on the world, but we have also improved comfort systems to a point where you get comfortable support in as many driving situations as possible today. Well, we wouldn't be Mercedes-Benz if we would rest with the level of driver assistance we have achieved today, but we're going to take it one step further. That includes level 3 automation, which means the driver will be able to actually take the hands off the steering wheel. And at the same time, we are working on level 4 and 5 automation, which means the car that actually doesn't need a driver at all anymore. Well, in order to further improve our driver assistance systems and the automated driving, we need to know what really happens to the customer, what situations they encounter in everyday driving, and where the differences are throughout the world. So we don't want to offer driver assistance systems that only work in Germany and only work in certain situations, but we really want to give the driver and the customer something that helps him all over the world. Well, to be honest, the best result would be that we find out that we already know everything and that our system is already ready. But of course, we wouldn't do the Intelligent World Drive if that was our expectation. The real goal of the Intelligent World Drive will be to gather as much information and data as possible in order to improve our driver assistance systems and automated driving to a new level when we return.
Autonomous driving, of course, is a future topic. It's the mixture of comfort and safety, and it's also a very personal thing for me. I studied ergonomics and train engineering, and of course, autonomous driving has very much to do with technology you have been using and use in train technology a lot. Trains drive almost autonomously with the tracks, and autonomous driving is almost like driving on tracks, plus all the safety issues that you also know in train technology, what ifs, and on the ergonomic side, human-machine interfaces, system understanding are very, very interesting topics and are of very personal interest for me. The goal of this journey is to show how we assess data worldwide that we can use to improve our current systems, to see how they react today, of course, to see how future systems will react in prototypes or even in very far future systems, to gather situations worldwide in very different traffic situations that we can, for example, use to simulate and re-simulate how future cars might react with that situation and have the information of what we have to develop them for. Well, we have been preparing for testing worldwide, of course, in the whole scope of developing the S-Class. And typically we have about a 1.5 year planning period for field validation, including worldwide testing. And for this trip, we've been working on it, let's say, for 3 to 4 months to prepare the very car, to make sure where we want to go, how we can have typical situations in different countries, to get all the travel plans done, to get the customs clearances and also the exempts, for example, in different countries, to be able to drive with that car, with a German license plate, with a used car, which is not always easy. So it's been about 3 to 4 months of real heavy-duty planning, and since we had the idea, about 6 months of preliminary work. We're using this very car in 4 of those 5 countries, excluding China. China has very restrictive import regulations, and we're not allowed to import, even for a short period of time, a used car. Now, this is a car, it's been driving around here for a while, and now, of course, also for the first lap. It's going to have more than 500 kilometers on its odometer, and then we're not allowed to import that car and drive it in China. That's the pure and simple reason. China next up, of course, megacities, many people, many people on different types of vehicles, from a very old bicycle sometimes with 2, sometimes with 3 wheels, sometimes with a trailer, to very modern cars, to trucks in all different shapes and colors, and very full roads. We're going to go to Shanghai. So we have one typical megacity in Shanghai. So that's our main focus, to see megacity traffic, congested traffic, many different types of participants of traffic, not only vehicles.